The wind moves first, not voices, not footsteps, just air sliding through broken stone. You are standing in Alexandria, not the city from maps, not the city from books, but what remains. Cracked marble, collapsed columns, sand filling rooms that once held the world. Nothing here tells you what was lost, only that something important is missing. There is no plaque, no marker, no sign that says, "Here stood the greatest collection of human knowledge ever assembled." History does not like to advertise its failures. You walk where scholars once argued. You stand where hands once trembled, copying words they believed might outlive them. Now even the dust does not remember their names. This is where the Library of Alexandria stood, not burned in one night, not destroyed in one dramatic moment, but erased, slowly, patiently, by time, by power, by neglect, by people who never thought they were destroying anything at all. If you enjoy stories like this, stories about what the world almost kept and quietly lost, take a moment to like and subscribe. It helps keep these stories alive long enough to be heard again. Now let's go backward, not centuries at once, step by step, before the silence, before the ruins, before the forgetting. Alexandria, 3rd century BCE. The city is young, ambitious, restless, built by Alexander's dream and ruled by men who believed knowledge was a weapon. Ships crowd the harbor. Every ship, every single one, is searched, not for gold, not for weapons, but for books. Scrolls are taken from captains, copied, cataloged, sometimes returned, sometimes not. The original stay, because this city is trying to collect everything. A long hall, light pouring through high windows, shelves, endless shelves, papyrus stacked like brickwork, labels tied with string, titles from lands most Romans will never see: India, Persia, Nubia, Babylon, Greece, Egypt. A young scribe pauses, ink on his fingers, eyes tired. He knows what he is holding might be the only copy that will ever exist. He writes carefully, because mistakes become history. The library is not one building. That is the first thing people forget. It is a system, a machine designed to pull knowledge from the world and keep it alive. Mathematicians debate infinity. Astronomers map stars that will not be named again for 2,000 years. Doctors dissect the human body not to shock, but to understand. Someone calculates the circumference of the earth and gets it almost exactly right. This is not a museum. It is a factory, producing ideas, testing them, breaking them, putting them back together. And for a moment, brief, fragile humanity is ahead of where it should be. But power notices places like this. It always does. Kings fund knowledge until knowledge becomes dangerous. Empires tolerate truth until truth contradicts authority. The library survives because it is useful, until it isn't. Now another thread, another voice, centuries later. A Christian monk walks these halls, not with reverence, with suspicion. Too many gods, too many ideas, too many questions with no approved answers. Scrolls are no longer treasures. They are problems. And problems are easier to remove than to understand. But there is no single villain, no single flame, no moment you can point to and say, this is when humanity chose ignorance. The library dies the way most great things do, by 1,000 small decisions. A war here, a riot there, a budget cut, a shift in belief, a generation that stops asking why this place matters. Return to the ruins. You are standing there again, wind through stone, sun on sand. Nothing dramatic, nothing cinematic, just absence. The kind that doesn't scream, the kind that waits. And here is the question that lingers longer than smoke ever could. What did we lose that we don't even know we lost? What cures? What histories? What ideas that might have changed everything quietly disappeared because no one thought to protect them? The library does not fall. It thins, scroll by scroll, room by room, generation by generation. A shelf collapses, not from fire, from neglect. A roof leaks, ink runs, words blur, and no one notices because the city is busy surviving something else. Empires change hands, Greek, Roman, Christian, Islamic. Each inherits what remains, each decides what is worth keeping. Knowledge is heavy. It takes money, space, care, and above all belief that the future matters. A teacher, 4th century. He stands in a smaller room now, once a wing, now a corner. He teaches geometry from memory, not because the texts are sacred, because they are gone. He draws circles in dust, corrects students gently, hopes someone remembers. Because memory is the last library. The myth of the Great Fire persists because it is comforting. One villain, one night, one catastrophe. It lets us believe we would have stopped it. But the truth is worse. The library died because it became inconvenient, because it challenged certainty, because copying knowledge was no longer rewarded, because people assumed someone else would take care of it. And then one day it is simply no longer mentioned. No decree, no announcement, just silence where arguments used to echo. Return again to the ruins. You walk farther now, past where scholars debated, past where scrolls once breathed. You notice something unsettling. The stones are reused, built into houses, walls, mosques, churches. The library is not destroyed. It is absorbed, its body broken down to serve smaller purposes, just like its ideas. And here is the cruelest part. Humanity did not become ignorant, it became fragmented. Knowledge survived, but scattered, hidden, delayed, rediscovered centuries later and praised as new. Things Alexandria already knew are learned again at great cost. The earth is round, the planets move, the body can be studied. Truth returns, but slower and bloodier than it ever needed to be. This is not just a story about a library. It is a story about priorities, about what civilizations choose to protect when times grow hard, about how easily the future can be starved by the present. Now, one final perspective. You, standing here, watching images pan slowly, listening to a voice reconstruct a place that no longer exists. This story itself is an echo, a fragment rescued by chance. Ask yourself quietly, what libraries exist today that we assume will always be there? What knowledge lives only on servers, on paper, in minds that no one is training to replace? And when it disappears, what story will we tell ourselves to feel innocent? The Library of Alexandria did not die loudly. It faded, and the world barely noticed until centuries later, when it realized how far back it had fallen. If you've stayed this long, thank you. If stories like this matter to you, stories about what humanity almost kept, consider liking the video and subscribing. It helps these stories travel a little farther than silence ever does. Because history doesn't need more noise, it needs witnesses.